The most violent storm in the story of a husband's sacrifice began when the truth came crashing down in front of Esha. It was a truth she had never even imagined in her wildest dreams. The man she considered her ideal, her life partner, and an honest IAS officer, Suraj, was now known across the entire city by the name Dadabhai. Police files were piled high with serious cases against him, and the law now saw him as nothing less than a dreaded criminal. This shocking reality shattered Isha's heart. She couldn't sleep the entire night, haunted by the image of the man who once promised to always stand by truth and justice, but who now considered himself above the law. As soon as dawn broke, Esha went straight to the old warehouse where Suraj was hiding with his men. Armed guards surrounded the place, but Isha's eyes held no fear, only a deep, searing pain. When Suraj saw her, a faint smile flickered on his face, but Isha's silence spoke volumes. It was a clear sign that their relationship was about to face its toughest test. Esha walked up to Suraj and, locking eyes with him fearlessly, declared that she had fallen in love with an IAS officer, a man who dreamed of delivering justice to the poor. She told him that the person standing before her now was not her Suraj, but the law's enemy, Dadabhai. Suraj, after a moment of silence, defended himself by saying that the world could call him anything, but he chose this path out of necessity. The law had never given justice to his people, so he had decided to become his own judge. Esha countered him immediately, stating that the moment a person takes the law into their own hands, they become a criminal no matter how good their intentions are. Anger flashed in Suraj's eyes as he proclaimed that no one could change him now. The city knew him as Dadabhai, and that was his identity. Seeing this, tears rolled down Isha's cheeks. She realized her Suraj was gone, lost to her forever. A heavy silence fell between them. In a trembling voice, Esha pleaded with him one last time, asking him to leave this path of crime if he still loved her. She wanted him to come with her and start anew, but Suraj didn't hesitate a second, shaking his head, saying there was no turning back. He couldn't abandon the people who trusted him, even if it meant losing the whole world. For a moment, Esha looked at him with the last shred of hope in her eyes, but she could only see stubbornness on his face. Then, in a stern voice, Suraj told her to leave him if it bothered her so much. He even challenged her to break the Mangalsutra around her neck if she considered it a burden, declaring that from now on it would only be Dadabhai. This final blow shattered Isha's heart completely. With trembling hands, she held her Mangalsutra, tears streaming down her face. Taking God's name, she broke the sacred thread and threw it to the ground, leaving everyone present stunned. With a heavy heart, Esha announced that he was no longer her husband and she was no longer his wife. She told him that maybe, if he learned to respect the law again, their relationship could return, but their paths were forever separated. Saying this, she walked away. Suraj stood there like a stone, but the moment she disappeared from his sight, his eyes welled up too. For the first time, he realized the biggest price of becoming Dadabhai was losing his love. But he was too stubborn to backtrack on his decisions. Their destinations were now different, and fate had placed their relationship at a point from which only pain, struggle, and a new storm could emerge. In the ensuing silence, Suraj picked up the broken Mangalsutra. As he held it, memories of their wedding, their vows, and the dreams they shared together flashed before his eyes. But quickly he clenched his fist and suppressed the pain, telling himself that he couldn't afford to show any weakness now. He put the Mangalsutra in his pocket and warned his men that he would not tolerate anyone mentioning Isha's name in his presence from that day on. Meanwhile, Esha returned home, where her mother-in-law and father-in-law were horrified to find her distraught and without her Mangalsutra. When Esha confessed she ended the relationship because she couldn't wear a symbol of a man who wore crime like a crown, her mother-in-law cried in disbelief. Her father-in-law, heartbroken, looked up to the sky and questioned how his son, whom he was so proud of, could fall so far. On the other side, Suraj's biggest rival, Raghav Thakur, smiled when he heard the news of the couple's separation. He believed a broken heart meant half the strength, and now was the perfect time to destroy Dadabhai. While Raghav planned his attack, Esha wiped away her tears and called a meeting of her police officers. She gave a stern order that for her, Dadabhai was now just a criminal, with no relation and no identity. She vowed to not step back, even if it cost her life. The officers felt they were hearing the voice of a law protector, not a wife. In response, Suraj prepared for war, declaring that anyone who came in his way would get a taste of Dadabhai's power. The city was heading for an inevitable showdown between the law and the biggest name in crime. The very next morning, a strange tension gripped the city. Police vehicles were visible on every corner, and every police station echoed with just one name, Dadabhai. Suraj, gathering intelligence about the city's movements, received word from his trusted man that Esha had launched a special operation against him. The entire police force was deployed just to catch him. While his men grew anxious, Suraj remained calm, stating that he had made peace with death and prison the day he chose this path. He said he would see whether the law's power was stronger or Dadabhai's determination, but no one understood the hidden pain in his voice as he realized he would now be fighting not an enemy, but the very person with whom he had dreamed of spending his life. Soon the story took another twist. An elderly woman arrived at Esha's office in tears, begging for help. She said her innocent son had been kidnapped by some thugs, and the police had done nothing. Esha investigated and found that the city's notorious gangster, Raghav Thakur, was behind this, kidnapping young people and forcing them into a life of crime. The news of Esha's planned raid also reached Suraj. He immediately told his men that he would never forgive anyone who harmed children and innocent people. When his men warned him about a direct confrontation with the police, Suraj simply said he would not step back if it meant saving an innocent life, even if he had to stand in front of Esha. Everyone understood that even though he had changed, his humanity was still alive. That evening, the air was filled with gunfire at the old warehouse on the city's outskirts. Raghav's men were holding innocent people hostage. On one side, the police had surrounded the area, and on the other, Dadabhai arrived unexpectedly with his men, their eyes locked. Pointing her gun, Esha shouted a warning, telling Dadabhai cannot take a single step forward. Suraj, looking into her eyes fearlessly, declared that he hadn't come as her enemy. He was there to save the innocents that Raghav had imprisoned. For a moment, Esha hesitated, but then a loud explosion came from inside the warehouse. Chaos erupted everywhere. In the mayhem, a small child got trapped. Esha ran to save the girl, but a thug fired a shot at her. In a flash, Suraj leapt in front of her. The bullet struck his shoulder and blood began to flow. Esha was stunned. The man she had come to arrest as a criminal had just saved her life without a second thought. Meanwhile, Raghav Thakur, standing in the distance, smiled. He knew this was just the beginning of his master plan. The biggest test between this husband and wife was about to begin, a test that would change the fate of the entire city.